Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Topic UFO. Appreciate it very much. Tonight, we're going to be talking a little bit more about a subject that just amazed me how much activity the episode got, and that is the episode on Nibiru, or Nibiru. It literally received 10 times the amount of views than any of the other Topic UFO episodes. And I think it just goes to show you that there's a lot of people out there that are interested in the subject. Doesn't say whether they believe in it or not, but they simply, or they obviously are interested. So tonight we have Mr. Robert DeBovis, who is going to be joining us. He contacted me after watching the original episode and had a lot of things to say, and I wanted to give him a chance to talk to you about it as well. So without further ado, Mr. DeBovis, are you there, sir?
Hello, Rick. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day to talk to us.
Well, thank you very much for giving me the time to talk. I'll get right into it. First of all, I never ask anyone to believe me. I always ask them to look into things I say, do further research. Seeing is believing. It's called the McGurk effect. Always take everything what I say with a grain of salt, but remember that grain of salt can also have an ounce of truth. Down here, I'm a no one. Up there, I'm a someone. My title would be here is a Royal Indigo Starseed Light Warrior. I'll describe that a little bit. Indigo is someone that's always had the perception of seeing, and their third eye, pineal gland, is activated. I've always had the sense of knowing, astral projecting before even looking at something, just clarifications on everything. The royal part of me is the Nibiruan, the Anunnaki side. I'm actually, yes, one of them from up there that's down here now, just like everybody else. There's many, many of us down here right now that are trying to get the story straight and get everybody clarified on what's going on.
Well, let me stop you for just 1 second, because,
yep,
like I said, you contacted me after watching the first episode we did on Nibiru.
Yep.
And what you said to me is that Nibiru was just a small part of the overall subject, or I don't know what you would call it, and a fractal of this overall subject. You spoke about something called the Galactic Light. Is that it?
The Galactic Federation of Light would be Nibiru. That is their Federation name. The light side of it, there's also a dark side of it. It's duality. It can get really, really complicated. We're down here learning life lessons. We either gain from them or we actually disconnect from them. The karmic values adds up. So when we pass on, you could say we either go through the pearly gates or we get sent back down here and do it all over again. Anyways, the Nibiru is a ship. Many, many civilizations live on it, not just the Anunnaki gods. There's other races, from Palladians, Syrians, to Nominos. Everybody, it's like Earth. There's duality there, so they have factions that want us to make it through what's going to happen, and there's other ones that don't want to make it through what happens. Enki and Nil, that's the people that's talked about a lot in Sumerian texts. They would be God and Satan from the Bible. They are brothers. It's a big rivalry of families. They're very egotistical in a sense. They love us worshiping them because of their fallen decline from creator source. They need to feed on our energy. So even though they created us, they are the ones that created us, they also feed on our energy. So us praying to them helps them maintain and live a long and prosperous life, you could say. 1 year to them is 3,600 years to us.
So the 3,600 year cycle that's talked about so much.
Nibiru, yes, exactly. One cycle around the sun.
So now, now you mentioned that they like the fact that, I guess, the humans are praying to them and worshiping them.
Yep.
So where does religion, earthly religion, come into play with all of this? The Christians, the Muslims.
It's a control mechanism. It's a control mechanism. It's to get brother against brother. It's all for the agenda of the Illuminati, the elite, the occult groups of the world that control the world. It's an illusion, though. They are controlling by fear-based mongering when we are loving, compassionate human beings. We're supposed to be in the light. We're not supposed to be in the darkness. That's one reason why people need to understand the doom and gloom of Nibiru is all an illusion. It's what the elite want you to believe. That's how they harbor consciousness, is through these events that create fear, like 9/11. Everybody should know 9/11 is not what it seems. There's a lot more to it than that, and that's how they harbor and base control fear on society. Anyways, back to the Galactic Center. The Galactic Center is the catalyst of everything going on. I tell people we have our sun and the planets, and how we are taught in school how the planets go around the sun. That's incorrect. I look at it this way, and this is the way that was taught to me from the hierarchy. We are in a contortion ring effect. This manipulates time and space. So as we take a shoestring or a curly fry, and pull it out, and how you got that spiral effect.
Right.
Now take that and add all the other planets to it. That spiral effect is how actually we traverse the Milky Way galaxy. We don't stand still. We also traverse the Milky Way galaxy in a set pattern. So this set pattern, we spiral around, and we also go up and down in a sine wave pattern. That is what creates these different cycles and patterns. Our magnetic core follows the energy patterns in the sky in our Milky Way galaxy. Just like we have ley lines on the ground on Earth, there's also these complicated lines up in the sky. And when the energy patterns are followed, our planet can go through pole shifts because we're going from above the elliptical to below the elliptical. That's part of the Milky Way galaxy. Part of the Earth changes. Also, the sun getting hotter. That's part of the Earth changes of the Galactic Center. Nibiru is the fractal of that, of the 3,600-year cycle. But that 3,600-year cycle also goes into the 13,000-year cycle of the precession of the equinox. On top of that, the 26,000-year cycle. Cycle and cycle and cycle and cycle. Fractals. So everything that we're...
Okay, I got to stop you. Sorry, I know you're on a roll. But you said that Nibiru is actually a ship, right?
Yes. Yes.
Now, has it been following us for years and years and years, or did it go away and come back? I'm lost there.
It was changed its course probably 350,000 years ago, where actually now it's under control. So they can actually, how people saying, oh, it's moving, it's doing this, it's got to be under intelligent control. It is under intelligent control. It's the gods. These are Zeus. This is, you know, all the gods from ancient Sumerian, Egyptian, Greek. They're all the same people with different names. They're the ones that control Nibiru, but there's also many, many other races that live on it. Like Earth, you know, we have all these different shades of humans. Up there, there's all these different races that are so much more noticeably different. I mean, we have the race of felines, the race of reptilians, the race of humans. These classes are levels of consciousness. The higher they are in the levels of consciousness, the more godlike you could say they are. Right now, Nibiru is part of our evolutionary process. We are actually, our DNA is getting manipulated. We're going from a 2-strand DNA structure to a complicated 12-strand tetrahedron. This is fractal prism. This is how all the marker of intelligent life is through the Milky Way galaxy. So this evolution process we're going through right now, and that's the starseeds that have awakened first, the ones that are talking about and kind of know what's going on, making sense of everything. They are the ones that have had their memory banks activated first in their pineal gland, their third eye. So they're trying, you know, there's 2 different classes. There's the light workers, and then there's the light warriors. I'm a light warrior. I get in the mud sometimes. I get in the shade. I try to stir things up to make people understand what's really going on. When the light warriors when the light workers only focus on the light, you'll see them. They only talk about love and light. They won't doom and gloom. They won't even mention it, which is incorrect. Everybody, awareness and enlightenment goes hand to hand. Without the awareness, nobody will get through what's going to happen. But since the perception of many starseeds are already activated, lots of people are talking. They understand, you know, Nibiru, it's in our solar system. Agenda 21, you've probably heard of it. The one world currency. These are things that the starseeds are bringing forward, because the gods, there's a quarantine on Earth, you can say. The quarantine goes to December 21st, 2012. That's when the quarantine is over. So without any gods affecting Earth, you could say, the starseeds, and their plan was to have beings from other planets, you could say, come down here to Earth and live a normal life and then be activated sometime in their life. Usually they go through a traumatic experience when they're activated, and, you know, they touch with God, with their religion, whatever it may be, and their pineal gland opens up, their chakra system activates, and
what is actually supposed to happen on December 21st, 2012? Is something going to happen on that day?
That is the day where we're supposed to be hit by the Creator's highest frequencies. That's when we're in the direct center, rapture. I talk about it and explain it to people, hot water and cold air. How you take a glass of hot water and throw it up in scalding cold air and it just disappears instantly. This is the vibration separating. The bad guys will be taken out. They will visibly just disappear in front of us. They will disintegrate. That's part of the rapture. It's part of the dimensional rift that's changing here on Earth. You probably heard of the 5th dimension before. That's what right now we live in the 3rd dimension. We see everything from the 4th dimension. But we're leaving the 4th dimension and we're going to the 5th dimensional Earth. Everybody's invited to go along, but you need to do a few steps on the way to get there, and that's activate your chakras, and that's going with love and compassion, removing the bottom negative chakras. That's materialism, that's war, that's fear. They don't work. Our new Earth will not have that with us. It'll be the higher levels. The Galactic Center, also, like I said, because of the Earth, the way it travels in the sine wave pattern, we're going from above the elliptical to below the elliptical. That's why the pull, magnetic pull, has been slowly moving for 40 years, is because it's following this energy field.
So now, you know, in the first episode that we did on Nibiru, there was a lot of talk about destructive force and what have you coming at the end of the year. Now, you're saying that on December 21st, things are going to happen. What you're saying is different from what the other guests said. So are you saying that on December 22nd, the Earth will be just as it is right now, except there'll be certain human beings that just are no longer here?
Yeah, there will be some that will disappear because they are of the negative vibration. Vibrations are being separated. Earth resonates at a set frequency called Schumann resonance. The Schumann resonance has been hiring for the last 40 years in conjunction to the galactic center. This frequency just, you know, everybody's hearing these noises all around the world, these screams, this, that, and this and that. That's the ley lines and vortices screaming, trying to get to the next dimensional realm. That's our frequency on Earth hiring. Ley lines form a flower of life pattern all over the Earth. These ley lines were set up by the ancient ones. They're here to help with the frequency. They're here to help the harmony Earth more. It's on a level that's with Mother Nature, you could say. But since our effects on it, like fracking damages these ley lines. So every time we damage a ley line, it adds a negative charge, a chaotic charge instead of a creative charge. So that's why we're having areas of distress over the Earth, is because humans, their extensions and influences are bounded through space and time. So how we affect Mother Nature is how Mother Nature is going to affect back at us.
So let me ask you, Robert, one question that I asked the previous guest, because I am interested in UFOs, and the name of this show is Topic UFO. Is there any connection between what you're talking about and the UFOs that are being seen and have been seen for many years? And there is. Can you talk about that? What is the connection?
Yes, that's part of the Earth changes. There's probabilities and predictions. Most of the negative stuff is gone now. We're going on a better timeline, but there's always still that probability something can go wrong really drastically, like a sudden pole flip, the ice sheet just collapsing, falling right into the ocean. And they're here watching everything. They are the watchers from the Bible. They're watching to see what's going on. And if anything happens suddenly, they will be there at a moment's notice to take charge and try to get things corrected. That's why people talk about these nuclear missiles going off course, silos getting shut down. They're not going to let any hanky-panky go on. Believe me, there will be no nuclear war. There will be no end. There is only a cycle and pattern, and we're part of it, and that's part of the change. So it's all about Earth changes. It's not about doom and gloom and the end of Earth. Nibiru is actually, like I said, going to activate people's DNA, and we're going to change. Everybody on the planet's going to change and wake up one day and just realize, hey, we're all in this illusion, and it's time to get out of it. And that's like how David Icke talks about it. All these other ones, Jalala Starr, Greg Giles, everybody from the Galactic Federation are on the same chapter. We all want a more positive outlook. But remember, the controlling factions of the world, the occult groups, the elite, the Illuminati, don't want that good outcome. They want the bad outcome. And that's where it's, you know, it gets kind of iffy. Even though we do so much, there's still these guys that are in control that can do so little and it affects us instantly.
I got a couple questions. Number one, you had mentioned that we, the human race, was created by the Anunnaki. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Number one, and I got two questions, so give me a second here. Number one, why did the Anunnaki create us? And number two, what makes somebody an Illuminati? So those are my two questions.
An Illuminati is considered bloodlines. You have to have the bloodline already, and that's of the reptilian side, you could say. I'm not saying all reptilians are bad. Believe me, once you get past this duality and understanding of the illusion, there's many, many good reptilians out here. But the ones on this planet that's doing the work of duality, you know, they're on a different page. They don't see things clearly. They see more things on a negative fashion. Reptilians like the negative. They feel more comfortable in the negative. That's like being a chaotic household, a household where everybody beats each other, hits each other, this and that. While humans, we usually like to be in a loving and compassionate household. You know, we thrive on that while they thrive on the negative emotional state. We were created to mine gold. I know lots of people don't want to hear that, but when they thought this out, they understood there would be a time and place when we went on our own. They have always wanted that from us. They never wanted us to remain in control. They'd rather have us thrive than be bounded down. Though materialism is part, the gold scenario, materialism is part of the chakra system. These little things they introduced us to thousands of years ago, like materialism, that's part to keep people bounded down. People that live in the materialism world will never get their higher chakras activated. And that's why there's a lot of doom and gloom. Vaccines are bounding people down. Microwaves are bounding people down. Fast food bounds people down. The list is tremendous. CFL light bulbs, these are all heavy vibratory mechanisms that bound a person down. Instead of thriving, they're diving. And that's what they want. They want that fear-based control instead of love and peace and compassion. And that's how the Illuminati, the bloodlines, remain in control.
Now, you obviously have a lot of information within you about this. How did you become?
Thank you.
How did you become so involved in this? And go ahead.
I was about 6 or 7 years old one time, playing in the shores of Lake Ontario, when my whole life flashed before my eyes, and that was just not the life that I'm going to live, but my past lives. So that's what kind of got me activated. I've always been a contactee. Earlier in life, when I was a child, I was an abductee, paranormal all my life, UFOs all my life. I can actually almost go out there on will and conjure up a UFO. I don't mean it like that, but it's all in your consciousness, your level of consciousness, how you connect with them. And lots of people have done it. I've seen videos where, you know, there's a colored man, he's saying he's conjuring up Yahweh, talking to Yahweh, and then you see the stars in the sky starting to move in closer. He's contacting the higher intelligent beings through his pineal gland, through astral projections. Anybody can do that. Meditation is a key factor right there. When people meditate, they can get closer to God, hear that inner voice. That's part of it right there. That's one of the first steps to getting to where you could say become one of them.
So, you know, if you go out on the internet and search on this subject, you are going to find so much information, much of it 100% different than the page before it. how do people know that they're looking at the right information?
This can get tricky, but when your chakras are activated, you see things more clearly. There's a vibration of truth to everything. People get that vibe. They feel the vibe. It's working all the time, even when, younger in life, when I didn't know what it meant, I felt the vibe where, somebody's mad at you even before they speak. That's that vibe. So that's part of it right there, is the vibe of the truth. But there's also, like I said, much of my information comes through being a contactee. A lot of it is not, I come out and talk about it on the internet. I usually, I have no money. I don't make any money from this. I live a very basic life. I love my life like that. I will not make any money from this. This is not what it's about. But, people do judge you. They do laugh at you when you're talking about this. Even though lots of people will listen to you, lots of people still won't listen to you. So I usually put my information out there on the internet, and over a few months it gets out there to everybody. I mean, once it's introduced out there and people can see it for themselves, they take that, they decipher it, and look into it themselves further. Like I said, seeing is believing. And once they have their chakras activated, which everybody's waking up. You hear the word wake up. People are waking up. That's their consciousness level waking up. That's their chakras activating. That's their pineal gland, their crown chakra taking in the energies of Creator, where they're able to understand what is right and what is wrong, what's good and what's bad. It's clear everybody's seeing the manipulation every day. I mean, I talked about this a couple years ago, how there would be protests everywhere in America from the currency and what was going to happen. Everybody's, my nickname is Prophecy. Everybody calls me Prophecy because, some of the outrageous claims I've made, but they've all come to be since then. But yet still, I'll have the people that'll fight tooth and nail with me. They'd rather not even listen to it. They'd rather shoot the messenger instead of listening to the message. And that's all I ask anyone to do, is listen to the message. And if you're there, and you don't believe in this stuff, you shouldn't even focus your energy on it. I see all these groups where people call them trolls, they're this and that, they're there, debunkers. Why are they spending so much time and energy on that subject if they don't believe it? I don't believe in the Easter Bunny, but you don't see me in a forum about Nibiru or, the Easter Bunny here, there, and wherever. These people are focusing so much energy on it because their subconscious is telling them there's more to this than what they can believe, and they need to find a way to discredit it no matter what. And that's the only way they know how, is by fighting it tooth and nail.
Well, let me ask you, do you have some sort of website that people can go to? How are you getting your message out on the internet?
I have a few groups. I have one that's Nibiru Awareness on Facebook. It actually was started by a friend. I kind of took control once we started talking, and I don't mean it like that, but clearly there had to be somebody to run the group that knew what they, could keep it under control, because that's a lot what happens with these groups is they get the people in there that don't believe in it, and, they kind of ruin the atmosphere for everybody. Mm-hmm. If you don't believe in something, you don't need to step on somebody else's parade. Everybody's reality is within their own. That's what will happen in the Galactic Center. Everybody's perception is within their own. So there is no right and there is no wrong.
Well, listen, Robert, we're getting down here on time, but I do have a couple last questions I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
Some people are looking at this upcoming event, December 2012, by preparing for it, by stockpiling food, stockpiling fresh water. Is that something you feel people should do, or is it a waste?
No. No, I'm totally against that. It's one thing having a plan, but it's another thing feeding that energy to that plan. They want the negative outcome. If you want the negative outcome, then go ahead, keep doing what you're doing. Choose the positive outcome. Have a plan, but don't act on it. You'll know. You'll see the signs. The signs will be clear as day if there's something going to happen. You know, and believe me, everybody will be taken care of. There's other people watching out for us here, and everybody will have the choice, you know, of what they want to do. You know, if you don't want to make it, go ahead, go out in a big bang. If you want to keep going on and survive, you have the choice to do that. And that's what I'm telling people. Have a plan, but don't act on it. Don't feed it. You know, have a little bit of water, this and that, and that's it. Put it in the corner, have your food there, have maybe a map or a little plan to get out of Dodge if you're in Dodge, especially the shorelines, the fault lines, and their volcanoes. These people need plans. If they don't have a plan, they are going to be a participant in the events happening. They will not be a witness.
So some people
doom and gloom.
So some people do need to prepare.
Yes, but don't dwell on it. Don't act on it. You're just feeding the quantum negative energy. And that's what we don't want. We want the positive energy. So instead of doom and gloom, think happy thoughts, but still have your little plan in the corner of your mind. You know what I mean?
I hear you. Okay. Well, listen, last question before we have to go. If you had to give people one bit of advice in regards to this Nibiru and Galactic Center and all this, what would that one thing be?
Love and light.
Love and light.
That's all they need in their life. That's all they need to think of. There's so much more to Nibiru than people understand. Are we going to repel it or are we going to attract it? It's like magnets. Earth is one magnet. Nibiru is another magnet. Our consciousness level depends on that as a whole, as a society. So if we have love and light, we don't have nothing to worry about. If we got fear, doom, and gloom, we have something to worry about.
I got you. Well, listen,
Yep.
Robert, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. You're obviously very knowledgeable in this subject, and I'm sure that the people out there have enjoyed listening to you, as did I. I am very ignorant. I'm very
blog.
What's that?
They can find my blog at starseedbobs.blogspot.com, or they can just type in Prophecy Bob on any search engine and they'll find me. And I go over the mechanics of everything in great detail, what's going to happen, how it's going to happen. I go over the heavy vibratory mechanisms, the things that people need to worry about and is there, but don't focus on it. Learn it, take in the awareness, and turn the next page. Let everybody know what's going on. That's how we make the change, is by everybody getting on the same page and wavelength.
Gotcha. Prophecy Bob, and I'll get that link up on the video as well. So Bob,
Okay.
Listen, thanks so much again, and we'll be staying in touch. And again, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay, have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.